So, hey guys, welcome back to my podcast. We're going to be talking about Barry as usual. Um, yeah, let's get into episode 4. You guys, we are halfway through the season. How? That's what I want to know because there's only 8 episodes. So that means we're halfway through episode 4. Um, Makes me a little sad because I feel like things are going by way too fast, and before you know it, like season 3 will be over and we'll just be sitting there like, what the heck just happened? But anyway, I just came from a meeting, you guys, for my job, and I'm just trying to get like into the zone. I'm trying to get into like the Barry zone so I can really talk about the latest episode. And I think I mentioned this before, but like what I usually do is I'll definitely watch it live on HBO Max when the episode actually comes out, and then the next day, which is today, um, either the next day or today, I will rewatch it just to kind of, like I said, trying to get into the zone of like, okay, this is what I want to discuss. Let me point out some of the highlights of the episode. So I'm not just sitting there going, this is what happened, and this is what happened, this is what happened. Because for those of you that have already seen the episode, I'm pretty sure you don't want to hear me speak about what exactly happened. But maybe if you haven't gotten into the show yet, or you're still unfamiliar with kind of what's going on, maybe you do like to hear me speak about it. I don't know. But I try not to make it too boring. But yeah, so let's get into it. So as you guys know, if you've been listening to my podcast, I usually like to start with what happened in the opening scene, in the opening shot. What do we first see as an audience? And I felt like with this episode in particular, this was probably like I would say like the most interesting beginning that I've seen for this show, at least in my opinion. Um, so it starts off with, we see this woman coming into her home, and she's on the phone with her husband and talking about like a game or something like that their son had. And it's all very normal, very mundane. But of course, with this show, you know that like something's going to happen. You know that this isn't just something normal and that's it. So I kind of thought, like, I don't know, you guys can tell me when you were watching if you thought the same thing. When they were showing this lady, I kind of thought that like somebody was going to be in the house waiting for her, or it's going to be, I don't know. I just thought like something bad was going to happen to her. But what actually happens is um, it's basically like a flashback to season 1, and not just season 1, but the very first episode of this whole entire show, the pilot episode. And it takes us back to that very first scene that we see as an audience, which is um, Barry had just done a hit, and this guy is like laying dead in his bed, and Barry comes out very casual, and he's like, I don't know, like unscrewing his gun and just kind of like packing up and getting ready to go. Like, he's done his job and that's it. And we see, I think for the first time, we see like that he's not phased by this. And clearly he's been doing this for a while, for him to just kill somebody and then just walk away from it. So they circled back to the pilot episode with this. And I thought that was really cool and really interesting. I wasn't expecting that at all. So that's why I feel like that was probably the most interesting opener that we've had, not even just this season, but I feel like, throughout the entirety of the show. So when they were showing that, I was like, oh shoot. So that means like something's going to happen where uh, where Barry's past is going to get dredged up. And we see that that is because of Fuchs. Fuchs is back. We knew he was coming back because of what was said at the end of the last episode, but now we actually see that he's back, and we see that he is plotting revenge on Barry, and he's doing it in a way that I didn't necessarily think he was going to do it that way, but it's almost like worse than what I thought he was going to do. By going back to people that Barry, committed, he did these hits, and now he's going back to the families and acting as a private investigator and going, I know who killed your son, or I know who killed your husband. It was, this guy named Barry Bergman. And so that's just, like opening up a whole can of worms with that. And Barry has no idea that he's doing this, by the way. So I'm interested to see how that's going to play out. I definitely don't think it'll end well for Fuchs. Not necessarily saying that I feel like he's going to die, but I just, yeah, that's not going to be good for him. And yeah, I don't know. Like, again, I'm scared. I'll say this every time you hear me talk about Barry. I'm like, I'm scared because I don't know what's going to happen, and I feel like whatever's going to happen is going to be really bad. And weirdly enough, as sneaky and petty and unlikable Fuchs can be sometimes, he's also really funny, and so I don't necessarily want to see him get killed off the show. Um, and I like the dynamic between him and Barry, especially like when they have conversations and they're kind of like bickering with each other, sort of like old friends would do, or maybe even like I guess you can kind of say like a father and son would do or something like that. But when they have those moments, that's pretty funny to me. So I would kind of hate to see that not be in the show anymore if he got killed. But I'm also just like, I know Barry's not gonna let this go. Like once Barry finds out that Fuchs is doing this or that he's done this, especially if this goes back and it hurts Sally in some kind of way, or if it ends up hurting, Mr. Cousineau in some kind of way. Whoo, I do not want to be Fuchs. I do not want to be Fuchs. We may end up having a repeat of like last season where Barry just like goes into a fit of rage and goes after Fuchs. I don't know. But either way, I'm just saying like him doing that is just not good at all. And I also feel like too, like I it's not like I feel bad for Barry because I feel like the things that he's done, um, like he deserves to face the consequences of his actions, but I also am not sitting there rooting for Fuchs either because I'm kind of like, you're not innocent in this either. I mean, you have to remember that he's the one that was assigning Barry these hits. He was making money off of this, you know what I mean? Like he was getting something out of it too. And so by him going around and saying like, hey, like I know who killed your family member, Barry did this. I mean, that's a pretty low blow because he was a part of it too. Did he pull the trigger? No. Is he the one going around killing people? No, but he's still a part of it. And so, yeah, like I said, I'm interested to see how Barry is going to react to that and what that means for Fuchs going forward and just in the future. Like I don't know, but I really wish he would just leave it alone. Like he literally could have stayed in Chechnya and just been fine, but no, he just has to get back at Barry some kind of way because he's just so petty like that. But like I said, sometimes it's funny to watch. But in this case, I'm just like, dude, like you're setting yourself up for failure. Like you have to know that Barry is going to come after you. But I guess he feels like, by telling these people like one of these, somebody's going to end up killing Barry because they're going to be like, oh, now I know that you killed my family member or you did this to my son or whatever. Now I'm going to go after you. And I guess he feels like once that's done, Barry will be gone and that's it. But like, no, I just feel like that's really stupid. He has to know that like Barry's going to come after him. And I also feel like too, let's say if one of these family members did actually go after Barry and they succeeded in killing Barry, I feel like Fuchs would be, I think he would feel guilty. Like, yes, he's upset with him now and he's jealous because of his relationship with Cousineau. But I honestly think if something did happen to Barry, I don't think Fuchs would be celebrating that. I really feel like he would be hurt by that because he's known him since he was a kid. And he always talks about, oh, I did a lot for him and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know. I feel like they still have a connection there. And if Barry really did die, I really don't think Fuchs would handle it well. So there's that. So that just made everything much more complicated. I think with episode 3, like I had mentioned before, it was much calmer. It wasn't like a ton of stuff going on like there was with the first and second episode, but now it's picking back up again, like I said, because Fuchs is back, and I knew that was gonna make things like strained, I guess, for lack of a better word. And so we have that going on kind of like behind the scenes. And then let's jump into what's going on with Cousineau. So last episode we seen that I honestly don't even remember if I mentioned this in my last podcast episode. I feel like I didn't. I don't know why I didn't. But he punched Barry when they were filming that scene, right? And so he leaves and he's like, oh my God, like, what did I just do? Like, this guy's crazy. And I just punched him in a fit of rage. And he left. And so we didn't see that, Barry had went after him or anything. Like, Kusuno just left and was like, oh my God, like, So now he's like, we need to get out of town. I need to leave Los Angeles because this guy is crazy and he's most likely going to come after me and my family. And so it's kind of funny because throughout the whole episode, he's like telling his son, and then we get introduced to his, I believe, his talent agent, and he's just telling them like, we need to leave. I did something really bad to somebody that I shouldn't have messed with, and now they're going to come after me. And everybody's just like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about leaving? And so it's kind of funny with him throughout the whole episode because he's kind of having this back and forth with his talent agent. And his agent is just like, the people, on the show, they loved you. They want you back. What are you talking about leaving Los Angeles? Why would you need to leave? Like, nobody understands him. And he can't say, like, because Barry's going to come after me and Barry's a hitman and all this stuff. Like, obviously he can't say that because Barry would most likely kill him. So the whole episode, he's kind of just like going in the circle of like, I need to leave. I need to pack. I need to get a new suitcase. I need to, prepare to like peace out basically so I can protect my family. And basically ends up like he does all of this only for Barry to come back at the end and be like, yeah, sorry for holding you hostage, and he doesn't exactly say this, but basically we get the idea of like, I'm not going to come after you anymore. And I think Kusuno asked Barry, so that means like, my family is safe. Like, are we good? And he apologizes to him and he gives him money that he received from a hit that he did, which was orchestrated by Hank. I already told you that Hank and Barry were going to end up working together again, even though Hank was mad at him in the first episode. We already knew that they were going to come back together again. So yeah, it was like this whole big circle of like Kusuno running around going, I need to leave. Barry's going to come after me. Like, we need to get out of town. And then it just ends up being like nothing, which was, I guess, kind of funny, but also good for him too. Cause I feel like you going after Kusuno, like this old dude that you got him running around and everything. Like, why are you doing that to him, Barry? So I'm kind of glad that's at least put on pause. I don't know if he's like completely just stopped going after him. I feel like, something else could happen where maybe he does kind of need Kusuno's help. I don't know. But for right now, he's not on Barry's radar. So he's kind of just like, yeah, I'm going to leave you alone, basically. So we'll see what happens there. I don't know. Another like funny but random thing, Joe, I don't know how to pronounce his last name and I don't want to say it because I feel like I'll say it wrong, but I think most of us know him as Rossi on Criminal Minds. He made a guest appearance in this episode and I was like, what the heck? Like, where did he come from? So that was kind of funny and random. And he was like talking to Kusuno in the store, and clearly like they have a past with each other because he was like, he said something about a restraining order or something. So I don't know. That was supposed to be like a joke, I think. But so yeah, he was randomly in the episode, but that was kind of cool to see him. I haven't been watching Criminal Minds lately. For those of you who don't know, that's like one of my other favorite shows. I used to watch that like all the time. So seeing him in this episode was like funny and kind of cool to see him in that. But yeah, and then that was like seeing him and then also hearing what the talent agent was saying to Kusuno. We're clearly getting a better idea of just how awful Kusuno has been to people in the industry, probably going back 20, 30 years, of him being an actor and the way he's treated people. And so, again, funny, but it's also like, wow, Kusuno, like really. And I think that's a big reason why Barry was saying like, oh, we've both done bad things, but that doesn't mean we can't, earn forgiveness, which is hilarious because being a jerk to people in the industry versus killing people is a completely different thing. But I guess in Barry's twisted mind, that's kind of like on the same, I don't know, it's like on the same level, I guess, or the same playing field. And so to him, it's like, well, like we're kind of the same. And I think Kusuno's just like, no, we're not. I don't kill people. But yeah, so that's where we see with Kusuno. And so he's finally getting a break by the end of the episode. We'll see what happens in the next one. I don't know. And then Sally, you guys, Sally, Hold on. Before I even get into Sally, because I have a lot to say about Sally, and it's good stuff too. Don't worry. Um, I did want to tell you guys about my sponsor, Streann Media, who is again sponsoring my podcast. I wanted to actually tell you guys about this new feature that I just found out that they added to the Stream Studio software, which is what I'm using to make my podcast. Um, Let's see if I can do this live. I'm pretty sure I can do this live. And for those of you that are listening, I'm sorry because you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. If you're watching this, then you'll see it happening live. But as you can see, I have my name in the corner. I have this really cool background. I even have like the Stream Media logo in the corner. All that is some of the features that come with being a podcast host. And then they added this other thing where you can add like a banner on top, and I feel like it'll be better to show you than to probably keep talking about it. But it's sort of the way you could do it like on TikTok videos or even like on Instagram. Um, and so I'm just gonna put something like, I don't know, I'll just put like Barry is insane or something, which he is. We all know that he is. And so I'm gonna put it on and you'll see it coming across the screen. That's funny. I feel like maybe I should do that for like every episode. Like every time I come in here and talk about Barry, I'll have like a new something new going across the screen and you guys will see it. But yeah, I think they are calling it tickers, I guess, where you can add text to the bottom or the top. And like I said, sort of like a TikTok video or like an Instagram video. You can do this with other social media sites, but now you could do it with Stream's studio software, which I feel like is pretty cool because, like I said, you can kind of put anything that you want. And I feel like that just made everything so much funnier to look at. And so, yeah, if you guys end up using Stream's Studio to create your own podcast or to do live streaming, just know that you have this option now, and you can play around with it. And not, like as I always say, if you guys use Stream Studio, definitely tag me or message me, hit me up and let me know like that you're using it. I would love to support your content the way you guys support my content, and definitely tag Stream Studio so that they can see you're using. Tag Stream Media so that they can see you're using their Stream Studio software. And yeah, let me take this off because I feel like that'll kind of be distracting while I'm talking. But yeah, let's get into my girl Sally, because I don't think she's ever made me smile this much. And like I said, in a good way. As I've mentioned before, Sally is kind of, I guess, seen as probably the most unlikable character on the show by a lot of people, which is hilarious because Barry kills people, and yet people are still like, Sally is awful, you know. And I, like I said, I never was like crazy about her character, but I didn't never hate her or wanted her to die or anything bad happened to her. So I'm just like, you know, like I kind of understand what people are saying about her because she is super into herself and she is narcissistic and all that kind of stuff, but she's not like an evil person. You know, she doesn't do cruel things. And if she does come off as mean, I don't think she does it intentionally is the thing with her. I think she's just like, that's just her, you know. I think she's being honest when she says certain things. And so this episode, she has her big premiere for her show Joplin, and surprisingly, everything pretty much goes well for her. I was a little anxious that something was going to happen, you know, to like mess up her premiere, or she was going to end up saying the wrong thing, but everything went great. And she looked really pretty. I like that dress that she was wearing. And of course, during the premiere, Barry is not there because he's too busy dealing with his own stuff with, you know, with Hank, and then having to go to Cusino and all that kind of stuff. But so she's kind of just there. I don't want to say on her own because she's there with Natalie and she's there with Lindsay, her agent, and then with Katie, who's her co-star in the show. And so she, you know, she hits the red carpet. She's looking fabulous. She's answering all the questions from all these publications. And then she has this big speech. And right before the speech, she finds out that her show is doing exceptionally well. Like the critics are, I think they said like rating it like a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, which if you know anything about like critics, usually people don't get good ratings like that. And so that's super, super good for her. And as she's making the speech, she's just like, oh my God, like this is just hitting me. Like that, I'm at my own premiere of my own show, and I got a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. And she kind of has this like little mini breakdown on stage, and she's kind of like crying, but also like smiling, and just like, she's just like, I can't believe it. And it is kind of like this like funny, awkward moment because it kind of stretches on a little too long, where she's just sitting there like kind of crying and choking up and everything. But I think, the people in the audience seem to receive it well. Um, and so, like I said, like everything went really, really well for her, until, honey, until Miss Katie says something to her. Now, I was not expecting that. We already knew that Katie could clearly see that Barry is a violent person, and that she was concerned about that. And she even said something to the people behind the scenes of like, hey, maybe we should report him. And that didn't go anywhere. Um, and remember, I was saying, I think I said this either in my last episode or the one before that, but I was like, if she ends up confronting Barry or says the wrong thing, I'm really scared for her. But she ended up just saying something to Sally. So I wasn't really expecting that. Like, I kind of figured that, that Katie wasn't going to let that go, but I didn't know how that was going to play out. So I think what eggs it on too is like during Sally's speech, she's going, "Oh, thank you to, my agent. Thank you to this person." And she goes, "Thank you to my boyfriend, Barry." And you could see Katie's face just drops, because she probably thinking like, what you thanking him for? Like, he just yelled at you in front of everybody the other day. Why would you thank him? You could tell like in her head, she's probably just like, really? Like, why are you thanking him? And I think in that moment, she's like, yeah, no, I got to tell her about her boyfriend, because clearly she's not seeing it. And so right after she comes off of doing the speech, Sally's like super excited and just like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And they're hugging. And then just out of nowhere, she's like, you're dating a violent person. And I was like, oops, oops. Because like I said, I didn't expect her to say it like that, or for it to come out. I feel like it just came out, and I can imagine, if that was like real life and you were talking to somebody that you worked with or somebody you were friends with, that wouldn't be an easy conversation to have. And so you could tell Katie's like kind of nervous about saying this to her, and she's just like, yeah, I'm sorry, but like, like, who you're with is not a good person, and you deserve better than that. And that's basically what she tells her. She tells her like, I think you're a wonderful person and everything, and I just don't want to see you get hurt. Um, and she kind of like leaves her with that. And you can see on Sally's face, like, that really hits her hard. Um, and so I was just like, oh shoot, like what, like what's gonna happen? Like, how is she gonna be upset that Katie said this? Is it gonna register with what she said? I was kind of just like, I don't know about you guys if you've seen it, but I was just like, oh my God, like she really just said that to her face. But I mean, I kind of commend her for that, because like I said, that's not an easy thing to say to somebody, to tell them about their partner and be like, hey, like you need to get yourself together. That's not exactly what she said, but basically that's like what she's saying. Um, and so I feel like that was a pretty big moment, for this season, because I think we've seen, since Barry has yelled at Sally, we already knew that like something was happening with Katie, where like it was going to come to a point where she was going to say something else, or it was going to get brought to the light. And so the fact that she said that straight up to Sally was just like, whoa, like, wow, okay, it's out there now, um and yeah. And so I would say throughout the probably like the middle of the episode, I guess you could say, it was kind of all about like, Barry and Hank teaming up again. And so Hank has called Barry and he's like, hey, I need you to do a hit for me. And it's basically to kill, Cristobal's family. And because, once Cristobal's family showed up, Cristobal and Hank, they weren't able to be together because nobody knows that they're a couple, and they're supposed to be enemies. Their families are enemies. The Chechens and the Bolivians, they're not supposed to be getting along. So they've been kind of separate the last couple episodes, which is really sad to see, because I felt like, in the beginning of season 3, we saw them like cuddling and being all cute with each other. And then it was like, oh, now they have to separate. And so I was really sad about that. But now maybe it looks like they're coming back together again. I don't know. So Hank pretty much tells them it's, whenever Hank and Barry team up for something, it's always going to be something funny because of Hank. But he's telling him like, yeah, so you're going to blow up this house. You're not going to shoot anybody. You're going to blow them up with this bomb. And the plan was that, Cristobal's going to be out of the house. So while his family is there, you're going to blow up the house basically. And instead of just killing Fernando, which is like, he's like the head of the Bolivians, instead of just killing him, you need to kill all of them, because if you just kill him, then the other people are going to come after you basically. And so Barry is instructed to pick up this bomb and place it under the house. And we kind of, we see all of that happening, and it's kind of funny, but it's also just like, oh shoot, like what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And then he does all of this only for the detonator thing on his phone to not work, which was hilarious, because it's like, really, you're going to blow up a house by using an app on your phone? And I feel like when you see stuff like that, because Barry is usually in these crazy situations, when you see him doing mundane things like sitting in the car talking to somebody from customer service because his app isn't working, is just really funny. And I think that contrast of like, this guy is a hitman. He's done all kinds of crazy stuff, but he can't get his app to work. Like, I don't know. That was just funny to me. And so at least, as an audience, we're seeing that, like, yes, there is still humor in the show, because I know for a while we're just like, all this doom and gloom, like, where is the comedy? I'm not laughing at this. This is making me cry. This is making me anxious. Like, this is not funny anymore, but we do still get some funny scenes. And so that was pretty funny. And the scene was literally like, I don't know, maybe like a minute or two when he's on the phone with this girl, and this really nice girl who's like, well, do you have the latest version of the app? Let me check into your account and everything. And Barry's just sitting there like super, you can tell he's like frustrated, but he's also just like, oh, like, this is what I signed up for, so I got to deal with it. But while they're showing him doing that, they're going back and forth between Barry sitting in the car outside of the house, and then they're going to, they're cutting, like scenes between that and then with Cristobal and Fernando. And then we see Fernando pretty much telling Cristobal, like, hey, I know what's been going on with you. Like, you think all this has been a secret, but I know. And I was like, oh shoot, please don't kill Cristobal. Please, 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 for Hank's sake. For Hank's, just please don't kill him, okay? Like, I know how much Hank loves him, so I was just like so scared. And he basically tells him like I know what you've been doing. I know you've been meeting up with your little lover. Like, this is not what I sent you out here for. This, I didn't send you out here to Los Angeles for this. I think he was kind of saying like it was a test to see how you would do, and you failed basically. And the look on Cristobal's face, I was just like, oh no, this is all bad. This is gonna be all bad. But it's crazy because like as they're having this conversation, Barry is trying to get the detonator to work. So you're kind of like, oh shoot, like, is he gonna blow up the house? And Cristobal's there? Cristobal's not supposed to be there when he blows up the house. So I was like, God dang it. And then when he finally, and it's so funny because like the only reason the button wasn't working was because he had his Wi-Fi on. So he just had to turn his Wi-Fi off, and he presses the button and it blows up the house. And there's that small moment where you're like, is Cristobal dead? Like, did he get out of the house? Like, what the heck? And Barry is driving, and you see Cristobal in the street. And I don't know, like, if you guys felt the same way when you were watching this, but there was a moment where I was like, I know dang well this man better not fall over and die, because I don't know why. I just thought like, I thought it'd be one of those moments where like you see him walking, you're like, whoo, he's okay. And then he falls over and like dies. And you're like, seriously? But thankfully, thank God, Cristobal is not dead. He brings him to Hank's, and he's like, Cristobal was in the house when the bomb went off. So he's like in pretty bad shape, but he's able to like walk and everything like that. And you guys, the scene between Hank and Cristobal was so sweet. And I feel like that's what we've been missing. Like, we got that in the first episode. And like I said, they just split them up. So we haven't really seen them together. And just the way, like, Hank took him in and was like, oh my God, like, are you okay? And you could tell he was like wanting to take care of him. And even the way Barry was looking at them was like, oh wow, like they, that's what love is. They really love each other. And Hank clearly really cares for him. And he was just so like sweet and tender with him. And I was just like, that was a win for the gays. I'm sorry. That was a win for them. But I love that scene. That was one of my favorite scenes throughout this whole episode. Oh my goodness. At least I had a couple of things that made me smile throughout the episode, even though there was some crazy stuff happening. But before we get into the next part of the episode, I did want to circle back around to my sponsorship with Streann Media. Um, if you didn't hear me before, you're hearing me again. That I am using the Streann Studio to create my podcast and to go live with you guys every Tuesday, like I do on Facebook. If you would like to create your own podcast, why did I say it like that? If you would like to create your own podcast, or if you would like to go live stream through really any social media app, you could do it. You could do it too. I don't know what I'm doing half the time, and I'm still doing it. So trust me, if I say that it's easy and that it's simple and it really doesn't require any type of like tech knowledge or anything like that, I promise you could do it too. It's very easy to use. And I did show my little example earlier about how you guys can add kind of like banners on top or even on the bottom. I won't do that again just because I feel like it's really distracting, but that is an option. That's a new option for you if you end up using Streann Studio. And then let's see, because I feel like I've gone over a lot of the main features that I use. There are some other things that I would like to use in the future, especially once I get a guest. And I know I keep saying that. I'm definitely working on getting a guest. It's just not easy, okay? People have all kinds of conflicting schedules and everybody has their own thing going on. But once I do, I think maybe I'll be able to show you guys some other features of like how you can add people into your live. And I can add more than one person. So if you're live streaming or wanting to do a podcast and you're like, well, I don't want it to just be me. I want to have like a co-host, or I want to have guests, or I want to have my friends on, you could definitely do that. And it's really easy. It's really simple. I always just tell people it's kind of like using Zoom. If you know how to use Zoom, or if you've ever even used it once, you could definitely figure out how to use Streann Studio. It's really nothing to it. So just go to studio.streann.com and they will ask you for your email. They'll send you a login code and then you're in. You don't have to worry about signing up or answering a bunch of questions. It's really easy and simple. And yeah. And like I said, if you guys use Streann Media or Streann Studio, definitely tag me. And I would like to see the kind of stuff that you guys create. And if you want to be on my podcast, like hit me up. I feel like I always say this, but like, don't be afraid to reach out. I'm not going to say no if you want to be on the show. As long as you have some familiarity with Barry and you're able to talk about it with me, then I'm all open for you to be on the show. Just know that obviously because my show streams live every Tuesday at 1 p.m., that means you would have to be available at that time. I don't go in and edit and all that kind of stuff. I don't I don't have like post-production or anything like that. Like what you see is what you get. Is what I say here is what's put on Spotify, on Anchor, on YouTube, and then of course on Facebook. So yeah, there's your invitation if you'd like to be on my podcast. But yeah, let's get back to episode 4 because I'm going to be wrapping this up pretty soon. So like I said, we had that really tender, sweet moment between Hank and Cristobal, and that was definitely one of my favorite parts throughout the episode. I think I saw a lot of people on Twitter going like, "Oh my God, like we finally got to see them together again." And like I said, it was just super cute. And I hope that we kind of get some more of those moments going forward in the season. Like I said, we only have half a season left. So oh God, it's going to go by really fast. I can already tell. And then I just really feel like we're going to be left, like we're going to be shook by the end of the season. No announcement yet. There's no green light on season 4, but I know that Bill and Alec have said that they've written season 4. So I feel like, there's a pretty high chance that HBO will say yes to them having a season 4, but of course we don't really know for sure. So we're just going to have to wait, like once the season is over. And I know you're probably like, why are you talking about the end of the season and when we're still on episode 4? Because I just already know that this is going to go by so fast and I'm trying to prepare myself. I'm trying to prepare you guys. I feel like it's only going to get crazier from here. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, trying to get prepared for what's going to happen and how the show is going to end. If it's going to end on a cliffhanger or if somebody's like one of the main characters is going to die, child, I don't know, but I'm scared. Like I always say, I'm really scared. Um, and so yeah, let me just tell you about the other favorite scene that I had from this episode, besides Hank and Cristobal. Um, so like I said, let's go back to Sally. So Sally has her premiere, everything goes well. Um, Katie drops the bomb on her of like, yeah, your boyfriend ain't you know what. She obviously doesn't say it like that, but that's basically what she's saying. And Sally is kind of left, she doesn't say anything, but you could just tell on her face where she's just like, oh shoot, like, like, oh my God, like what you just said is true. And I feel like, that doesn't feel good for her to hear, of course, especially coming from somebody that she works with, somebody that's younger than her, that's telling her like, who you're dating is not good for you. That's not, and it's not even just about image, but just you, like as a person, that's not good for you. And by the end of the episode, Barry finally shows up to her premiere, of course, once everything is over. And she comes up to him and he's like, oh, I missed it. Like, I'm sorry. Wait, I don't even know if he says I'm sorry. He probably doesn't even say that. But basically, he's just like, oh, yeah, I missed it, huh? And she's like, yeah, you did. And he asked her, like, how was it? How did it go? And she's like, it was honestly the best day of my life. And I feel like maybe this is just me like projecting. I don't know. But I feel like when she said that, like in her head, she was kind of saying like, this was the best day of my life. And my own boyfriend didn't even show up. Like you weren't even here. And that should tell her something right there. You know what I mean? Like I kind of felt like that's what she was thinking too. But you guys, all of a sudden, she says, we're through. We're over. When I tell you, I was like this. What did I say, you guys? If you guys have been watching my podcast, I have been wanting Sally to break up with Barry probably since I started this podcast, or at least since season 3 has started. You guys, I was like, what? Like happy though. Like I was like, she really broke up with him. Like on the spot. There was no stuttering. Like it was clear, we're through. And he was the one left going like, well, wait, what? And he's like, because I had a bad day, because she mentions like, oh, you get the way you yelled at me, like that was not okay. And he's like, well, because I had a bad day, like I'm not allowed to get mad, which come on, like we know that that was much more than you just getting mad. That was way more than him just getting mad, and that could have ended like way differently. You know what I mean? Like he could have ended up putting his hands on her. Thankfully that didn't happen, but he got up in her face and he's talking about, oh, just because I got mad at you and yes, okay. But the way she delivered that, like it wasn't like, oh, I'm sorry, but I have to break up with you. It was like, no, we're through. And I would like it if you went back to the house and picked up your stuff and left, because I'm going to go stay with Natalie. I'm sorry, I'm screaming in y'all's ear, but literally, that was the best scene of this whole episode. To me, it was. I was waiting for that, and it happened so much better than what I thought it was going to. Like, I didn't know how, if she did break up with him, I wasn't sure how she was going to do it, or if it was going to be coming from a place of like, I don't really want to break up with you, but I am, or if it was going to come off like, her being scared. But she stood strong, and what she said, she delivered that very confidently. Like, you better go ahead, girl. Go ahead, Sally. She's never made me smile this much. I'm so proud of her for doing that. Now what's going to come from after this, I don't know. I mean, obviously he was surprised that she broke up with him, but thankfully he didn't like yell at her or go off on her or anything like that. I think he was kind of just like, wow, she really broke up with me. And then of course she broke up with him in a public place, which I felt like was really smart too, so that he couldn't really do anything too crazy. So I don't know what's gonna happen. Like I'm not sure if this is gonna make him spiral more. I don't know. Like I kind of feel like he's gonna be like, in order to not think about what's going on with Sally and everything, and how he got broken up with, like maybe he might try to put himself, like how sometimes when you get, I don't know, sometimes when people get broken up with or they get bad news and they're like, well, I'm just going to put all my energy into work so I don't have to think about it. Like, I kind of feel like that's what Barry's going to do. We'll see what happens, which is not really a good thing because that means he's probably going to be doing more hits, or he's going to be doing more stuff with Hank. And, I just feel like it's either way, it's probably just not going to be a good thing. But I love the way Sally did that. I'm so happy that she broke up with him. And I'm so happy in the way that she broke up with him, the way they delivered, um, the way they had her say those lines, and that it wasn't coming from a place of like her being scared or her like being reluctant about it. Like, she just did it. And she walked away from him too in that dress. I'm so happy about that. I know you're probably like, you won't be happy for long, because we'll see what's going to happen in the next episode. But yeah, that was my favorite part in episode 4. Barry definitely deserved that. I do not feel sorry for him one bit. I know there's some people that are like, oh, like, no, he deserved that. Okay. And especially the fact that he tried to, like, it was almost like he was trying to gaslight her or something when he was like, well, why? Just because I yelled at you, or just because I had a bad day? No. And I also think too, like, that just goes to show that, everybody else that was kind of like making excuses for him, like, he's making those own excuses for himself now. And now he's saying, like, that's why you're breaking up with me? Like, he don't understand. I don't know why he don't understand, like, the way he came at her. Like, that is not okay. You don't do that to somebody. And not even just the fact that he did that, but the fact that he didn't even apologize. He didn't even acknowledge that he did that until just then, when she broke up with him, that she had brought it up. But after he had did that, he didn't even say, oh, like, sorry about earlier. Like, I was, going through something or whatever. I mean, that still wouldn't make it okay, but it's like, he didn't even say anything about it, which means that to him was not a big deal. And it is. So yeah. So like, yeah, no, I don't feel bad for him at all. You guys let me know how you felt about it. Do you think that they're going to get back together? Do you think that, that they're not through? Do you feel like that was kind of a, I don't know what the right word is. Do you feel like that was kind of a fluke of, like, do you feel like she just kind of had, like, I don't know how to explain it, but do you feel like Sally basically was just, like, confident in that moment, but then she's going to kind of regress again? I don't know. That's why I was afraid of I was afraid of that happening with her this season, because of the way she reacted once, Barry yelled at her, and then she was kind of like making him dinner and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Maybe she won't regress. I hope she doesn't. That doesn't mean that something won't happen with her. I don't know, but I'm just so happy about that. Like, I don't know. That was the best part to me for sure. So you guys let me know how you felt about it, or how you think this is going to affect Barry going forward. Do you think he's really going to care? Because, like, I think, yes, he cares about her, probably like in his own twisted way or whatever, maybe even loves her. But I really don't think he's ever been in love with her. I feel like it was always just infatuation and him seeing what he wanted to see with her. And the fact that she's always been so blind to the type of person that he is, and she, was with him and everything, I feel like that's why they were together. It's never really been real between them, in my opinion. And so I don't know if he's really going to be, like, what you call really broken up about it, but I feel like maybe he will kind of get back into doing, like, hitman stuff, or trying to do something to kind of distract himself from the fact that, like, he doesn't have Sally anymore. And she told him to move out too. So I don't know where he gonna stay. I don't know if he's gonna try to, like, stay with Hank, or if he's gonna, I don't know what's gonna happen. So we'll see. Next Sunday. You guys know the new episodes come out on Sundays on HBO and HBO Max. I believe it's 10 p.m. Eastern time and 7 p.m. Pacific time. I always watch it on HBO Max. But yeah, you can watch it on either or, of course. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But this episode was pretty good. For some of y'all that was saying last episode wasn't that great, and it was like, maybe they felt like not enough happened or whatever. You can't say that about this episode. This episode was on it, okay? And then before I sign off, last scene of the episode circles back to the mother and the son that we saw in the beginning, or we saw the mother in the beginning, but it circles back to the mother and the son in the beginning, and they're buying a gun. So now we know for sure that that they're going after Barry. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Whatever it is, it's not going to be good. But anyway, I'm signing off here before I start rambling some more about it. I will see you guys next Tuesday at 1 p.m. We're going to be talking about episode 5. Is it episode 5? No. Yeah, episode 5. Oh my God. This is what I'm talking about. It's going by way too fast. I'm going to go before I start crying. I will see you guys next week. Deuces.